Hello there, geeks and gamers. My name is Jesse Milestone, and I am back to bring you fluffy hair and the answer to a question that a lot of people keep asking. That question, of course, is given the nature of the, large demographic of people who see Marvel movies, why is it that Disney and Marvel are allowing Brie Larson to go around and run her mouth about how she doesn't care about the opinions of white men, she doesn't want them interviewing her, basically trying to alienate white men, who are, of course, that largest demographic for Marvel films prior to the release of Captain Marvel? Why haven't they reined her in? I've been seeing this question pop up a lot of places, especially, Disney clearly controlled the narrative when Mark Hamill came out and said he didn't like what they had done with Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. They quickly reined that in and made him change his tune. So why haven't they done the same thing with Brie Larson? Is Disney really that stupid to think that this man-hating marketing is going to work? Of course they're not. We have evidence to prove that women are not going to mobilize to save films that are targeted largely outside of their genre, like the women Ghostbusters or Ocean's 8. Not saying that women don't see these movies naturally, but you cannot, it's been proven now that you can't take a movie where their classic audience is majority men, market it to women, and kind of in the process alienate the men from that discussion and expect them to come up and save your movie. That's just not happening. And in those particular instances too, there wasn't the same effort to alienate men from seeing the film the same way that there is in this one. So is Disney really stupid enough to think that this is going to go over well for them? No, they're not. Now here's the reality. Disney and Marvel are allowing Brie Larson to run her mouth like this because they simply don't need Captain Marvel to succeed. That is nowhere in the plan of the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe does Captain Marvel being a box office smash hit or a box office flop factor into their plans in any way whatsoever. Now, it may influence and shape little bits of things down the road, but it's not part of the framework. It's not necessary for the success of the franchise. So they're essentially double dipping by trying to have their cake and eat it too. We can make this movie and let Brie Larson run around and say it's a huge feminist film. Have Marvel even come out and say, yeah, totally, it's a feminist movie. Have her run her mouth about how white men don't matter and all that because it'll make them look all, woke, and they'll get to virtue signal to the right crowds by letting her go around and spew this narrative, while at the same time, they don't give a rat's ass. They've got Avengers Endgame following quickly on the coattails of this film, and by the time Endgame comes out, once that hits theaters, nobody's going to be talking about Captain Marvel anymore. And the reality is they know that even if they allow her to alienate certain people from seeing the movie, it won't have the same devastating effect as if the movie, say, came out independently, separately, right? Because there's still a large group of people who are incredibly invested in Endgame, and in spite of all the things Brie Larson is saying, and in spite of expectations for the movie to actually be terrible, people are going to go see it because they need to know, which we've been led to believe, that there's important information we're getting from Captain Marvel that's going to be crucial in Endgame. At the very least, the introduction of the Captain Marvel character, who we've been told is going to show up and play a major role in Avengers Endgame. So there are plenty of people who are going to be flocking to the theater just to know. There are going to be plenty of people flocking to the theater on the expectation that there's going to be a scene at the end of the credits that's going to be a massive teaser for Endgame. People are going to go to the movies for those reasons. People who ordinarily would stay home and sit this one out because of what Brie Larson's saying are going to go anyway. And even if they don't, once again, even if Captain Marvel loses money for Disney, it doesn't matter because they're going to make all that up and more in Endgame. So in a way, I don't agree with the approach of like, oh, we're just going to have her cake and eat it too. We'll appear to be super woke when the reality is we just don't care. But from my perspective, what's very interesting about this is that the box office numbers for Captain Marvel are going to be very telling towards Brie Larson's future. Because if you have this, and even if the box office numbers, of course, money speaks over anything else. But there's a large amount of online backlash. There's a lot of people voicing their opinions, voicing their disdain in places like Rotten Tomatoes, which Jeremy talked about yesterday. Of course, the ridiculousness of saying these are all misogynists. But people coming out and actively making their voices known, saying the things Brie Larson is saying are turning me off from wanting to see this movie. Those statements are out there. That information is out there, right? So there are going to be a lot of filmmakers down the line that are going to be a little hesitant before signing Brie Larson on to make a movie. Because if she's going to go around doing this, and if we see a serious ramification in the box office numbers, then that's going to have an impact on whether or not people are going to want to work with her in the future. Or if they do work with her in the future, what kind of clauses they're going to put in her contract to make her shut her damn yap prior to the release of the film. So in that light, if you are displeased with Brie Larson's narrative, you don't have to skip this movie, but it might be best not to see it on opening weekend. It might be best to make your statement that way. Will I see it opening weekend? I don't know. We'll see how things go. But if you're of the mind that Brie Larson doesn't want you to see this movie, great. Don't put your money towards the movie. Pirate it. I don't care. Like this, normally I'm against piracy because it really affects people like Brie Larson the least. She has guaranteed money. She has a guaranteed contract. Piracy unfortunately affects other people in the industry a lot more than it affects your lead actresses. Their money is guaranteed. This is affecting your grips, your gaffers, people like that, the other people that this movie employs. However, in this particular instance, if she's out there telling you basically she doesn't care about your opinion, I don't see why you should give money to someone who doesn't care about your opinion. Now, I'm excluded from that. I'm obviously not male. Shocking. So maybe I will go see it. I don't know, because it's apparently marketed towards me. In which case, I think it'd be really, really funny to go see a movie that is geared towards me and just, tear out a new one later on. That could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. But anyway, if you were asking that question, why is it Brie Larson no one's put a muzzle on this chick? That's why. That's the easy answer. Because Disney and Marvel have absolutely nothing to lose by having Captain Marvel tank in the box offices. Now, yeah, okay, well, she signed on for a bunch more movies. Well, guess what? The actors for Solo were signed on for 3 movies. Do you think those other 2 are getting made? No, they're not. They sign on actors to future contracts based on the movies they think they might want to make, and whether or not those movies do well actually determines whether or not they make the film. So the fact that she signed on for a bunch more movies actually means nothing. They're entering a totally new phase after Endgame. The world is their oyster. It's all open to them. They could write a future that does not involve Captain Marvel. They could write a future that involves a Captain Marvel that's not played by Brie Larson. The future is totally open to Marvel and Disney, and what Brie Larson is saying and whether or not that affects Captain Marvel's box office is totally immaterial to the fate of the MCU. So there you go. That's why. If you like hearing me yell and you want to hear me doing it more than once a week, feel free to check out my channel, Mindless Entertainment. Otherwise, I will see you guys all here again next week.